Right now, though, Dr. Alex Del Carmen joins us from Tarleton State, terrific professor there, criminal justice and a law enforcement expert. And we thought we'd lean on Dr. Del Carmen about what law enforcement is going through. It seems like daily now, Alex, we are hearing stories about local law enforcement agencies who have positive tests within their ranks. What can law enforcement do to continue to do their job?
Right. Good morning, and thanks for having me again. So sadly, throughout the United States, we're seeing that more and more police officers are testing positive to COVID-19. And part of the problem is that obviously they're exposed to individuals that are sick on a daily basis. And we have to start tracing back as to where they've been, whether they were at briefing, who they talked to, and how many other officers are placed on quarantine. The numbers of police officers that are currently being quarantined across the United States are incredibly high. And of course, people are not talking about that, but they are on that first line of defense for the rest of us to be safe.
Can law enforcement, can the laws be enforced with this many people, officers in quarantine?
You know, I don't think our system was ever built in the original settings in law enforcement to be able to withstand a pandemic of this sort. You know, I have no question that our committed men and women in uniform are going to do the best that they can to do the job that they're doing out there every day. But part of the problem is you've got now police officers that are getting sick, those that fear getting sick, those that are immunocompromised. And so that takes away a good 1/3 of the police force out there out of all 30+ thousand law enforcement agencies in the country. It is truly alarming.
Yeah, 8:08 right now at WBAP. Dr. Alex Del Carmen is with us right now from Tarleton State. So what happens if this continues to spread? I mean, you hate to think about this, but we've already seen some relaxing of restrictions, or meaning we're relaxing what we're doing as far as some misdemeanors are concerned. Will we see more and more in jurisdictions around the country of that?
Yeah, perhaps, but at the same time, I think what is really happening across the United States, and I talk to law enforcement on an ongoing basis, as you know, is that they're actually establishing pretty serious and pretty substantive control methods for their officers to follow on a daily basis in order to make sure that they try to expose them the least amount as possible. But obviously, that's very difficult, right, when they're actually making physical arrests, when they're actually taking statements from a victim. So within that context, they're taking their precautions and their measures, but it is going to be extremely hard to be able to prevent our heroes from being sick.
You know, we have quite a few officers that listen here to WBAP. Is there a number they can call? Is there a website they can go to for officers, law enforcement officers only, that they can get help and maybe report their sickness?
So currently, police officers follow the protocol that their cities and their municipalities have established, which is to let their supervisors know immediately upon the first signs of COVID-19, and then there are protocols in place that every municipality has in place. So there's no national number that they can call. However, there is obviously the CDC, the International Association of Chiefs of Police, the IACP, all of which have established protocols online that they can certainly follow and they can certainly look at, especially the leadership, but they're trying to put these protocols in place. But every city and every municipality is pretty much doing the same thing, which is they're following the CDC guidelines that the rest of us are as well, as best as they possibly can.
Dr. Alex Del Carmen's with us from Tarleton State right now. We have heard talk of this, and it's been anecdotal. I've not seen any hard evidence, and I wonder if you've seen any numbers that we have actually seen a reduction in crime through this pandemic.
I would argue that we actually see a reduction on certain types of crimes, but also obviously we see an increase in other crimes as well. Like, for instance, on domestic violence cases, child abuse cases, we see an increase and a spike on those. But we have seen a reduction in some other types of crimes, obviously. So I would argue that there's been a shift more so than there's been a reduction overall, because now we see individuals that are at home more often. Some of them are confined at home, and as we talked about a few days ago, now the child or the individual woman that is subject to a domestic violence incident is having to live with that potential offender in a very close quarter. So the numbers are alarming, and they're going to continue to increase from that perspective.
Dr. Alex Del Carmen, always appreciate the time and the insight. Thanks for joining us from Tarleton State. Does a terrific job.